Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Autism Stories. I'm your host, Doug Bletcher, the founder of Autism Personal Coach. Autistic people are the true experts of the autistic experience, and Autism Stories is where we interview autistic people to learn from their stories, experiences, and get their insights. If you'd like to be notified about each week's episode of Autism Stories, we suggest you subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform. We would also appreciate it if you could give us a positive rating and review, as it will help others learn about autism stories. One of the most important things we as autistic people can do is continue to develop self acceptance in our lives. That's why I'm excited to talk with Sabrina Guerra today about how she once said, self acceptance is a glorious rebellion, and we'll also talk about unlearning ableism. We hope you enjoy today's conversation. Sabrina, thanks so much for joining me today here on Autism Stories.
I'm pleased as punch to meet you.
And I wanted to start our conversation out by learning, where does your story in the autistic community begin?
I was diagnosed by those granted the authority to identify our species at an early age. It had to be the unbridled joy, the immense passion for details, and my disinterest in frivolous interaction that unnerved them. Years of people trying to shape me into a kind of human they could understand followed. So long as I couldn't control my body to respond to questions and demonstrate the knowledge, I was treated like a puppy by many. My mom looked to non-speaking mentors and insisted on presuming competence, though few listened. Now that I type, people react one of two ways. They either listen intently and make a point to learn, or they find my accomplishments or opinions uncomfortable or inconvenient.
So, when the pandemic started and our world sort of stopped, I read where you said that your life fortuitously began. So, in what ways did the pandemic impact your life in a positive way?
Many years spent in the education system, I am looking back at the standard low expectations of people like me, and it fills me with anger. The only experience I had being taken seriously as a student was isolating for COVID and distance learning with my mom. Each day we worked on my typing. If I weren't with people who radically believed in me, I'd be perpetually in a painful state of being mistreated and misunderstood. You can't imagine what it is like being so horrendously underestimated. Holding out hope for a semblance of a future where I might be respected and treated as an equal, I aimed to achieve enough control of my movements to master typing. It was frustrating. It was thoroughly exhausting. And it was marvelous. Hundreds of mom power days later, I was my true self. I wrote a poem about this period of my life. I will play it for you now. Transform. Aspire. To share my story. A story of pride. Hope. A year of success. A year amid virulent turmoil. A slow dream carved into the present. A beleaguered unfurling from my chrysalis of silence. Inner year boasted against the collective angst. I ascend. The world mourns. I transform. May I celebrate a year as this. May it stand as my renewal. One for many, sadness, loss. Asking not for resolution, but for company. The words of my heart have waited so long, amassing weight as they mature, soaked in pain as they escape. Emblematic of a world that hates. To listen is to believe, is to lie.
I'm always intrigued by young people that have a level of self awareness that many adults, I think, never sort of achieve. In thinking about that, I saw where you wrote, lasting pain competes for space against rising tide and hope for a drastically improved future for myself and all disabled people. So, what are some things that have helped you to decrease the amount of time you spend focusing on that pain?
I feel painful memories like they're happening in real time. The past becomes the present in an instant. The pain is hardly lessened with time. I have realized I need to minimize reminders so I don't drop to painful depths as often. I know I must surround myself with people who listen to me, respect me, don't treat me like a project or a lesser being. Treating me as an equal requires that one take my feedback seriously. I will not be dismissed or talked over. Past experience has taught me so very much on the differences of being an ally versus a professional with a self-driven agenda. Having said all this, I make a conscious decision to go public about my lived experience, which can be a painful writing process. My drive to change the world motivates me through the hurt, and it's extremely satisfying to undo damage by speaking my truth.
Something else that I read in where you said that self acceptance is a glorious rebellion, which I absolutely love. I'm wondering in what ways learning to type's been a part of that glorious rebellion for you.
Once distance learning was ended, instead of excitement over my accomplishment, nearly everyone thought my typing was a lie my mother was constructing. That tells you everything about the information educators are working with currently. We need to upend the system. At this point, it isn't about ignorance. It's ableism. Those in power are refuting our authority. I and other non-speakers are due the right to define ourselves and be leaders in all discourse about us. Typing has empowered me to be an agent of change.
So, thinking about change, I dream of a much brighter future for all non speaking autistics. But I know that to happen, allies are going to have to be an important part of that process. What are some things allies can do to be supportive of you and others that type to communicate?
The most important thing an ally can do is amplify the voices of non-speaking autistics in any way they can. Thank you for lending me this platform. I must emphasize how soul-crushing it is to have people treat you like you are a lesser human. Please do your part in making the world a more accepting and respectful place. Proactively unlearn ableism. You make a difference when you believe I matter.
And Sabrina, how can our listeners learn about you beyond this interview?
I have a page for my writing on Facebook. It is Sabrina Guerra, non-speaking advocate for change. I also have Instagram, but my mom isn't so hip to the media. I began writing on Facebook, so there's more sass and wisdom there. I have a few videos on YouTube. Search Sabrina Guerra. Guerra.
Now, in preparing to talk to you today, I learned that modern architecture and design is one of the things that you're really interested in. Is there something about architecture and design that's particularly inspiring to you?
I appreciate modern art and design probably due to the peace it instills within me. I admire work in its form and simplicity. The beauty is pared down to basic elements to coexist within harmony. Perhaps I am drawn to the serenity of sharing space with such quiet pieces. People talk too much.
Way too much. Way too much, Sabrina. I definitely agree with that. And then, in closing, is there anything we haven't talked about yet that you would like to discuss?
You've asked good questions, and I am pleased to have participated. I would like people to leave with the understanding that my neurotype may make life pretty challenging in some ways, but it's ableism that makes a person suffer. My being is truly a beautiful existence. This idea that my life is tragic, because I am who I am, is disrespectful, and this assumption needs to end. Thank you to all willing to listen and adjust their thinking.
And thank you so much, Sabrina. I really enjoyed our time today and getting to know you a little bit better. And I'll definitely continue to be following your Facebook page and learning from you in the future.
Really awesome taking part in your important work.
Thanks so much to Sabrina for the conversation. To learn more about Sabrina, please check out the link in the podcast description of this episode. At Autism Personal Coach, our clients are the experts, our coaches are the guides. The majority of supports for autistics are unfortunately not helpful. They try to fix us, not support us. That's why many are confused when we say our clients are the experts, experts of their lived experience. Our clients are the experts for what's worked for them and about the things that they need and want in their lives. Our coaches first listen to our clients, then ask them thoughtful questions, offer resources, and strategize with our clients so they can get what they need to thrive. Would you want a guide in your life to coach you to get the things you desire? If so, then visit autismpersonalcoach.com for more information. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Autism Stories, and if you did, if you could tell a friend, foe, or anyone you know about it so they could have the same enjoyable and educational experience as you when listening to Autism Stories, it'd be very much appreciated. Until next time, I'm Doug Bletcher of Autism Personal Coach. Talk to you then.